Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. In a first, Supreme Court finds sitting High Court Judge Justice Karnan guilty of contempt of court, sends him to 6 months in jail. Allahabad High Court calls triple talaq unsustainable, says it violates fundamental rights of women in the name of personal law. Rift in the Aam Aadmi Party deepens with sacked Minister Kapil Mishra registering complaints against Arvind Kejriwal, with the CBI drama in the Assembly sees BJP leader Vijendra Gupta being marshalled out. And South Korea votes to elect a new president. Park Geun-hye's successor will have to contend with a floundering economy and decide the future of the much-opposed THAAD anti-missile system. Well, in an unprecedented order, the Supreme Court has held sitting Calcutta High Court Judge Justice C.S. Karnan guilty of contempt of court. The apex court also sentenced Justice Karnan to 6 months in jail. A 7-judge bench headed by Chief Justice of India J.S. Keher said that the Calcutta High Court judge was guilty of contempt of the Supreme Court, judiciary and judicial process. This is the first time that a sitting High Court judge is being sent to jail by the Supreme Court on charges of contempt. Karnan, who was to retire on June 11th, will spend the last month of his tenure as judge and 5 months thereafter in jail. As the hearing began, senior advocate Rakesh Dwivedi, appearing for West Bengal, said a medical board had gone to Justice Karnan's residence, but he gave a letter saying he was fit and of sound mind. The bench has banned the media, both print and electronic, from publishing the contents of further orders passed by Justice Karnan. Meanwhile, in a significant ruling on Tuesday, the Allahabad High Court said that the practice of triple talaq was unsustainable as it violated the fundamental rights of women in the name of personal law. The court said Muslim marriages were contracts that could not be unilaterally cancelled by husbands without the consent of the partner. The court also said that the rights and the human right of an individual cannot be exploited based on an individual's gender. In December last year, the Allahabad High Court had termed this Islamic practice of divorcing unconstitutional. A 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court will examine the legality of practices like triple talaq, polygamy and nikah halala on May 11th. The union government contends that such practices do not form a part of essential religious practices in Islam and that they violate the fundamental rights of women guaranteed by the Constitution. The Muslim Personal Law Board, however, says that such practices are matters of legislative policy and the judiciary cannot interfere with them.
कोर्ट ने कहा, स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि कोई भी कानून या कोई भी पर्सनल लॉ, चाहे व्यक्तिगत हो या चाहे सार्वजनिक रूप से हो, वो संविधान से बड़ा नहीं हो सकता। संविधान के दायरे में ही पर्सनल लॉ लागू होगा और जो भी पर्सनल लॉ के जो भी कानून संविधान का उल्लंघन कर रहे होंगे, अनुच्छेद का, मूल अधिकारों का, वो सब प्रभावी नहीं हो सकते, उनको लागू नहीं कराया जा सकता।
Gender justice, equality for women and protection of their rights should be the first yardstick. And of course, constitution and law is above each one of us. Every personal law, norms or notion has to be tested on the touchstone of constitutionality. Supreme Court is now hearing the matter. We 100% believe, and some of my colleagues of the Congress party are actually representing those Muslim women. We believe that full justice would be done. Gender justice would, the principle of gender justice would be upheld.
ये कि भाई 23 देशों ने बैन कर दिया इसको, बाकी देश बैन कर रहे हैं इस कुप्रथा को, अत्याचार को और अन्याय को। कोई भी अत्याचार और अन्याय कितना भी लंबा चले तो जो गलत है वो गलत रहेगा। इसका मतलब है कि उस अत्याचार के खिलाफ आवाज उठती रही, वो कुचली जाती रही। अब आवाज इतनी बुलंद होकर उठी है तो इसलिए उनको ये सोचना चाहिए कि उनके द्वारा औरतों पर जो अत्याचार और अन्याय हो रहा है उससे उनको कैसे मुक्ति दी जाए।
Well, the Supreme Court has held businessman Vijay Mallya guilty of contempt of court for transferring $40 million to his children in violation of the court's order. The apex court has also directed Mallya to appear before it on July 10th to argue on the quantum of punishment in the matter. India had recently asked Britain to ensure early extradition of Mallya, who is an accused in a bank loan default case of over 9,000 crore rupees involving his defunct Kingfisher Airlines. The move comes on a plea by the consortium of banks led by SBI. The bank had said that Mallya had allegedly transferred money which he had received from British firm Diageo to his children in flagrant violation of various judicial orders. The apex court has asked Mallya about the truthfulness of his disclosure of assets and the transfer of money to his children.
But there is definitely an order which holds him in contempt, and they have asked him to be present before the court on 10th of July, that is 10/7/2017. So he will be present in court and he will have to face questions by the court on why he should not be held for contempt.
Well, anticipating a recovery from the disruptions caused by demonetization, the International Monetary Fund has pegged India's economic growth at 7.2% in 2018. The IMF, however, cautioned that improvement of agricultural productivity remains a key challenge for India. Here's a report.
The International Monetary Fund has predicted a growth rate of 7.7% for India in the financial year 2018-19 in its Regional Economic Outlook report. The IMF expects the hurdles faced by the economy due to shortage of cash after demonetization to ease in 2017. A favourable monsoon is also expected to improve the growth rate.
Demonetization should help industrial sector in the next year, in the current year, 17-18 and 18-19, largely because it should help, the banking sector to, recover much faster than which would have otherwise taken more than 3 to 4 years to recover. So even if the banks recover by next year, I think that is good news for industrial sector.
Continued fiscal consolidation and a monetary policy to reduce inflation will contribute to the economic stability of India. However, the IMF says that the major challenge before the Indian economy will be to improve agricultural productivity. Farmers require more flexibility in distributing and marketing their crops to improve competitiveness and efficiency. The IMF has also advocated that input subsidies to farmers should be administered through direct cash transfers.
Definitely be creating the problem for the farmers because 65% of the people will be deeply impacted because the prices of the agricultural produce globally are going down and the cost of cost inputs as per our farming is concerned is very high.
The International Monetary Fund has raised its growth forecast for the Asia-Pacific region to 5.5% in 2017. It, however, warned that the near-term outlook for the region is clouded with significant uncertainty. The IMF has termed Asia as world leader in GDP growth, but has also highlighted certain short-term risks, mainly attributed to the region's rapidly aging population, incurring the risk of Asia becoming old before becoming rich. US President Donald Trump's protectionist rhetoric may also pose a number of uncertain risks. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Sudhanshu, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The Aam Aadmi Party's problems deepened on Tuesday with suspended leader Kapil Mishra registering 3 complaints against Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Mishra has accused Kejriwal of corruption. This came on a day when a special session of the Delhi Assembly was called to stage a live demo of tampering in EVMs. There was high drama inside the Assembly too, with Delhi BJP MLA Vijender Gupta being ousted after he raised the corruption issue.
The war within the Aam Aadmi Party further escalated on Tuesday as suspended leader and former Delhi Water Minister Kapil Mishra submitted 3 sets of complaints against Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and other party leaders to the CBI. The party's Political Affairs Committee had suspended Mishra on Monday following his allegations of corruption against Kejriwal and Health Minister Satyendra Jain.
कैश एक्सचेंज की भी शिकायत दर्ज कराई है। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के रिश्तेदारों की जो फर्म्स हैं उनको इलीगल तरीके से फ़ायदा पहुंचाने की शिकायत दर्ज कराई है और विदेश यात्राओं की शिकायत दर्ज कराई है। सबसे गंभीर जो मामला मेरे को कल शाम को पता लगा है जो देश से जुड़ा हुआ मामला है, विदेश यात्राएं की गई हैं कुछ नेताओं के द्वारा, उसके डिटेल मैंने मांग की है सार्वजनिक करने की। अगर वो डिटेल अपने कहां गए, किन किन देशों में गए पिछले 2 सालों में नहीं बताते हैं तो मैं पर बैठूंगा।
Meanwhile, the day-long Delhi Assembly session started on a stormy note as BJP MLA Vijendra Gupta tried to corner the government over Kapil Mishra's allegations. Gupta was marshalled out of the house, stalling assembly proceedings. Later, Gupta sat on a dharna in the assembly premises and demanded that both Arvind Kejriwal and Satyendra Jain be jailed.
भ्रष्टाचार का मामला उठाया और चाहा कि केजरीवाल जी इस पर जवाब दे। दस्तावेज सौंपने की कोशिश की, दस्तावेज तक केजरीवाल जी तक नहीं पहुंचने दिए गए और बिना किसी कारण के मुझे सदन से बाहर। मैं गांधी जी की मूर्ति पर बैठा हूं, लोकतंत्र की हत्या हो रही है, भ्रष्टाचार को बढ़ावा मिल रहा है और मैं चाहता हूं कि सत्येंद्र जैन को गिरफ्तार किया जाए।
अपना जब हलफनामा देती है तो इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को कहती है कि मैंने 2013-14 में हमें 50 करोड़ 64 लाख रुपए प्राप्त हुए चंदे के रूप में। इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को 50 करोड़ 64 लाख रुपया प्राप्त हुए बताने वाली आम आदमी पार्टी अरविंद केजरीवाल अपने वेबसाइट पे डालते हैं कि हमें प्राप्त हुआ है 19 करोड़ 82 लाख। क्या जो उड़ा वही 2 करोड़ के रूप में तुम्हारे आंगन में बरस रहा है जिसको कपिल मिश्रा ने देखा है?
भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ लड़ने वाली पार्टी के लोग खुद भ्रष्टाचार के अंदर संलग्न पाए जा रहे हैं। तो जो मुख्य मुद्दे जिनको लेकर के पार्टी बनी थी, वो सारे के सारे मुख्य मुद्दे एक एक करके धाराशायी होते जा रहे हैं।
Facing the intense attack, the Delhi Chief Minister indicated that he will give answers to all the allegations leveled against him. Other AAP leaders too termed Mishra's allegations baseless.
इतना ज़्यादा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का प्रेशर है ये एमएलएस के ऊपर, मिनिस्टर्स के ऊपर, जो भी केजरीवाल के नज़दीक है उनके ऊपर, कि जो केजरीवाल का साथ देता है उसके ऊपर केस होते हैं, जो केजरीवाल के खिलाफ चलता है उसको रिमांड लिए जाते हैं। देखो बात यह है, बाहर का रास्ता तो जब कोई बेसलेस टोटली एलिगेशन लगाएगा जिसमें कोई दम ही नहीं है, इस तरह के एलिगेशन लगाएगा पार्टी में के जो कन्वीनर है, जो प्रधान है उसके खिलाफ, तो उसको तो बाहर का रास्ता दिखाया ही जाएगा और क्या होगा उसमें।
The latest crisis in the Aam Aadmi Party is one of the many since its formation 4 years ago. AAP faced a crushing defeat in the recently concluded state and MCD elections. Its internal rift also came out in the open after Okhla MLA Amanatullah Khan accused senior party member Kumar Vishwas of plotting a coup in the party on BJP's behest. Khan was later removed from the party's Political Affairs Committee. With inputs from Pranav Goswami and Anu Diwan, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you a roundup of all the other news from across the country and nationwide. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that the government has no plans to tax agricultural income, including that of prosperous farmers, saying a rich farmer is a very rare institution and not the norm. Niti Aayog member Vivek Debroy had last month stated that farmers should be liable to pay tax on their income at par with their other citizens after seasonal fluctuations are adjusted. India has been unanimously elected as the president of the UN Habitat, an organ of the UN to promote sustainable human settlements across the globe. Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation Minister Naidu will chair a 4-day meeting of the 58-member Governing Council of UN Habitat. The theme of the 26th meeting of the Council's opportunities for effective implementation of the new urban agenda. Well, the public snub to a woman IPS officer by a BJP MLA in Gorakhpur on Monday seems to have snowballed into a major controversy, with the ruling party lawmaker deciding to stage a protest and the IPS officer's body condemning the incident as interference in law enforcement. A delegation of the UP IPS Association met Chief Secretary Rahul Bhatnagar and demanded strong action against those involved in the incident and also ensure such incidents did not recur. Bhatnagar assured the delegation that their concerns would be conveyed to the higher authorities. Four teachers of a school in Kerala were suspended in an alleged incident of removal of innerwear of a student before she appeared for the NEET on Sunday. Officials of the TISK English Medium School at Kovapuram said that the teachers allegedly responsible for the incident were suspended by the school management for 1 month. The alleged incident was widely condemned by student organizations and political leaders. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Renowned economist Amartya Sen needs no introduction. Recipient of the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1998, Sen has always shown a keen interest in the problems of the underprivileged. He has made immense contributions to the discipline of welfare economics and social choice theory, and his books have been translated into more than 30 languages. In 2010, Amartya Sen was listed among the world's 50 most influential people who matter.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, South Koreans voted in the presidential elections on Tuesday, which was called early after a corruption scandal brought down former President Park Geun-hye in March. Democratic Party of Korea's Moon Jae-in is the frontrunner in these polls. He has advocated improving dialogue with North Korea and has also vowed to review the previous government's decision to host the controversial American missile defense system, THAAD.
South Koreans queuing up to cast their votes to choose their next president. The election comes after the country's first female president, Park Geun-hye, was impeached following a corruption scandal in March. Prime Minister Hwang Ko-an is serving as acting president until the election's winner is inaugurated.
이번 선거를 통해서 국민의 뜻을 모아서 통합과 화합을 이루어야 합니다. 정말 자유롭고 또 정의로운 민주.
Liberal Moon Jae-in, candidate for the Democratic Party, is the strong favorite to win. He is seen as a clean candidate who had run against Park in 2012 only to lose narrowly.
우리 당도 절박한 마음으로 뛰었지만 나라다운 나라 만들기 위해서 꼭 정권 교체해야겠다는 국민들의 염원이 더욱 간절하다는 것을 많이 느꼈습니다.
If Moon wins, he is expected to reshape Seoul's policy on North Korea. He intends to increase contact with Pyongyang. Moon also talks of challenging the deployment of the US missile defense system THAAD that aims to counter challenge from North Korea. In fact, Moon was a strong proponent of the Sunshine Policy, an attempt to improve relations between the two Koreas from 1998 to 2008.
압도적인 국방력으로 북한의 도발을 무력화시키고 동북아 평화 질서를 우리가 주도해 나가겠습니다. 한반도 문제 우리가 주인입니다. 우리가 주도해야죠.
Despite the global focus on North Korea, the biggest priorities for South Koreans are economy and corruption.
오직 국민만 바라보는 그런 대통령이 되었으면 합니다. 자기 측근들만 위한 대통령이 많았다고 생각해요. 그래서 이번에는 그 국민만 바라보는 대통령이었으면 정말 좋겠습니다.
저희 아들이 지금 23살이에요. 그런데 취업난에 되게 힘들어했거든요. 그런 문제를 해결할 수 있는 경제적인 문제를 좀 해결해 줄 수 있는 대통령.
Whoever wins will also have to tackle ties with China, which retaliated economically over the deployment of THAAD. Official results are expected early Wednesday, with the next president likely to be sworn in the same day. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Pakistani diplomat Sohail Mahmood is set to become Islamabad's new High Commissioner to New Delhi. Mahmood will replace Abdul Basit, who has completed his 3-year tenure in New Delhi. Mahmood is currently the ambassador of Pakistan in Turkey and served as the High Commissioner to Thailand before that. The appointment comes at a time when diplomatic ties between India and Pakistan are at a low over alleged Indian spy Kulbhushan Jadhav's death sentence. Mahmood may take up his new assignment either at the end of this month or early next month. Well, the UN climate talks have begun in Germany's Bonn city despite uncertainties about whether the United States will remain committed to the Paris Climate Accord or not. During 10 days of talks, officials will try to agree on how to implement the 2015 Paris Agreement to cut carbon emissions, a treaty that former US President Barack Obama's government played a leading role in forging. But the Trump administration has sent just 7 participants to a key UN meeting, a smaller delegation than even Zimbabwe, underscoring Trump's deep ambivalence about the historic agreement. White House officials are expected to huddle on Tuesday to discuss the fate of the agreement, with business leaders and the international community pressing the US to stay in the agreement and Trump's conservative allies urging an exit. The May meeting of the UN climate talks body is normally a pretty low-key affair, but this is the first gathering of delegates since Donald Trump was inaugurated. Some delegates' US's exit would be a body blow for the landmark deal. The Paris Accord calls for limiting the global average temperature increase since the Industrial Revolution to 2 degrees Celsius or less, a goal that has been called ambitious.
Obviously, if you are not a party to the Paris Agreement, you will lose out. And the main losers, of course, will be the people of the United States itself. Because, I mean, all the interesting, fascinating new green jobs will go to China and to other parts of the world who are investing heavily in this. Already at this point, there's only 70,000 jobs in the coal industry of the United States, 400,000 jobs in the solar. So there is no doubt where the future is, and that's what all the private sector companies have understood.
Well, here's a roundup of some other international news in Global Buzz. An Indian priest kidnapped after an attack on a care home in Yemen's southern port city of Aden last year has appealed for help in a video recording carried by a Yemeni news website. The priest said his kidnappers had contacted the Indian government and the Catholic bishop in Abu Dhabi, but the response was not encouraging. Father Tom Uzunalil was abducted in March 2016 when 4 gunmen killed 15 people. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, and the motive for the incident was unclear. But President Abd Rabu Mansour Hadi has called it an act of terrorism. US media reports that the US military and State Department are recommending sending at least 3,000 more US troops to Afghanistan to fight the Taliban. Military leaders would also regain the authority to target Taliban leaders with airstrikes under the proposals. US President Donald Trump has not approved the plan yet. It may include a request that other NATO countries send 3,000 to 5,000 soldiers. There are 13,000 NATO troops currently in the country, 8,400 of them American. Well, Jakarta's Christian governor was found guilty of blasphemy against Islam and sentenced to 2 years in jail on Tuesday after a trial that was seen as a test of religious tolerance in Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim majority nation. The penalty is given over comments the governor made that they believe insulted the Quran. Floods in the provinces of Quebec and Ontario in Canada show no sign of letting up as rescuers waded through neighborhoods to enforce evacuation orders. Schools and government buildings were closed in some areas in Quebec. Montreal, Quebec's largest city, declared a state of emergency on Sunday, and the military was sent in to assist. Canadian military deployed approximately 1,200 troops to help deal with the flooding. Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some sports news in Sports Beat. Anthony Amalraj has lost the title clash of the ITTF event in the Brazil Open. He was beaten 12-14, 9-11, 7-11, 7-11, 5-11 by Brazilian Caldrano Hugo. The 8th-seeded Anthony Amalraj has been in good form recently but had little chance against Hugo, who was the toast of the nation and also the tournament's top seed. But in the doubles category, Amalraj managed to win the title, partnering with Soumyajit Ghosh. Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga defeated Andrei Kuznetsov in a grueling contest to advance to the second round of the Madrid Open. 10th-seeded Tsonga overcame his Russian opponent 7-6, 6-7, 7-5 and will next meet Spain's David Ferrer in the second round. Australian Nick Kyrgios also advanced to the next round after beating Cypriot Marcos Bagdaitis 7-6, 6-4. Eugenie Bouchard beat Maria Sharapova for the first time with a score of 7-5, 2-6, 6-4 in the Madrid Open. The match was the most anticipated as Bouchard made comments in the Turkish media in April calling Sharapova a cheater and saying she should not have been allowed to compete again after a positive dope test. Bouchard sets up a third-round clash with top seed Angelique Kerber. Juventus is all set to face AS Monaco, holding a 2-0 lead for the away leg of their semi-final tie. Juventus are unbeaten in the competition this season without conceding a single goal in their last 6 Champions League games. Monaco was the last French side to reach the final in 2004 and would want to end UAE's 4-year unbeaten home record in Europe. Monaco have never won a game in Italy in 7 attempts, while UAE's record against French team is exceptional. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.